Namandavas, namandavas. Namandavas, 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 namandavas. Namandavas, namandavas. Namandavas, 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 namandavas. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in today. It's quite windy and blustery here in Monterey, so if you do go out, I hope you are careful and take care and dress warm. It's very cold out there. This morning I want to ask all of you to open up your obutsudans and light a candle. Today we're observing the November Shotsuki Hoyo, the memorial for the month of November, as well as the Eitaikyo Muen Hoyo, or the perpetual memorial service for our members. I'd like each and every one of you to remember that when you light a candle, it represents the light that shines from the boundless life of those that we remember today. And that light is a reminder of what we have received and how their lives continue to influence our lives. I'd like to begin with an opening reading. If you'll please join me in Gassho. The Tathagata, pitying the sea of all the suffering sentient beings, disciplined himself in the bodhisattva practices for inconceivable and innumerable kalpas. During that time, his three kinds of action were not impure or untrue, even for a single thought or a single moment. The Tathagata, with a pure and true mind, perfected the complete, all-emerging, unhindered, inconceivable, indescribable, and ineffable supreme virtue. The Tathagata endows his sincere mind to the sea of all the multitudinous beings filled with evil passions, evil acts, and perverted knowledge. The sincere mind is the true mind endowed by him to benefit the beings, hence it is not mixed with doubt. The substance of this sincere mind is the blessed name of the supreme virtue. Namo Amidabutsu, Namo Amidabutsu, Namo Amidabutsu, Namandabutsu, 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 Namandabutsu. Thank you. And now we will continue with the sutra chanting. We will begin with the Sambujo, and if you have a PDF or your own version of the Sambujo in the purple service book, it's on page 24. This will be followed by the Hyobyakumon, or dedication reading, and then we'll continue with the chanting of the Amida Kyo, the Pure Land Sutra that describes the beauty and the serenity of Amida's Pure Land. You'll find that on page 103. Now, after the beginning of the sutra chanting of the Amida Kyo, it'll be a little bit into the middle of the Amida Kyo that you'll start seeing the names of your family members scrolling on the screen. At that time, when you see their family name, your family name, please go to your butsudan and burn incense in memory of your family member. Thank you. Namandavas, 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 namandavas. Today, on this occasion of the Monterey Peninsula Buddhist Temple November Memorial Service and Eitai Kyo Muen Hoyo, we remember all our dear members and friends who have died in the month of November. We also honor all our past members with today's Eitai Kyo service. We gather to express our gratitude for Amida's benevolent compassion. This is our opportunity to strengthen relationships and to deepen our understanding of life through the Nembutsu, taught by Shinran Shonin. This moment allows us to realize how our departed loved ones continue to influence our lives. Through them, we are made to realize that our lives are a continuation of their lives and all other lives. May the light on our altars remind us of the light that shines from the boundless life of those we love. And that light is a reminder of what we have received and how their life continues to take effect upon us. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha, we reaffirm the three homages. I go to the Buddha for guidance, I go to the Dharma for guidance, I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namu Kia Boots, Namu Kia Ho, Namu Kia So, Namandavas, 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 Satsu Amidangyo Nyozeng Amon Ichiji Butsuzai Sha Ekoku Giju Kiko Dokuan Yodai Bikushu Senni Yakugo Juninku Aiseya Dara Kang Shusho Chishiki Chodo Shariho Makamo Kennen Makakasho Makaka Sennen Makakuchira Hirada Shuri Handa Gananda Ananda Ragora Gobon Hadai Winzuru Harada Arudai Makako Hinna Hakura Anurura Yozeto Shodai Deshi Yosho Bosatsu Bakasatsu Monju Shiri Hoji Aita Bosatsu Kenda Kadai Bosatsu Josho Jin Bosatsu Yonyo Zeto Shodai Bosatsu Yushaku Shakudai Kanin to Muryo Shoten Dai Shuku Giji Butsugo Choro Shari Ho Juze Sai Ho Kaju Mannoku Butsudo Usekai Myo Watsugoku Rakugo Do Ubutsugo Amida Kongen Zai Seppo Shari Ho Hidoga Komyo Igoku Rakugo Koku Shujo Mu Shuku Tanju Shoraku Komyo Gokuraku Ushari Ho Gokuraku Do Shishiju Ramo Shishiju Ramo Shishiju Goju Kaize Shiho Shusho Noi Zeko Inyo Myo Watsu Gokuraku Ushari Ho Gokuraku Do Oshupo Chi Hyako Kudoku Sui Jumango Chu Chita Junni Konsha Fuji Shihen Kaido Kongo Ruri Hari Gojo Joju Shuryo Kaku Yaku I Kongo Ruri Hari Shako Shakushu Meno Nigon Jikichi Shichu Renge Dainyo Sharin Shoshiki Shoko Oshiki Yoko Shakushiki Shako Byakushiki Byako Mimyoko Ketu Shari Ho Gokura Kokudo Joju Nyoze Kudoku Shogun Ushari Ho Hibutsu Kokudo Yosa Tengaku Ogon Iji Chu Yadokuji Ni Manda Kerke Gokoku Shujo Joi Shotan Kakuie Koku Joji Shunyoke 供養他法十万の仏職位直次元と本国本直商業シャリ法極楽国土上十如税空毒将軍武士シャリ法異国上修十修十奇妙座式市長白高九弱オムシャリハカリオベンガグミョシチョレショシュチョ昼夜六時水和下言ゴン延長五根合力七曜売分八正道分尿税東方合同修助門税恩に体質念仏年法年相シャリ法尿物意象徴実税財法省省省医者が非部国土無三幕宗シャリ法合仏国土小無三幕土宗名下級実税省宗庁改税阿弥陀仏用両方温泉流変化少佐シャリ法非仏国土未風水道小法五十九法ラモ睡眠妙音二尿薬宣具学同時空者門税恩赦開述年上年部年法年相死神シャリ法動物国土上十尿税孤独将軍シャリ法おにょいうんが非仏がこごあみだシャリホ非仏公明無料諸事報国無償諸下税公ごいあみだシャリホ非仏寿命牛五年面無料無変阿蘇下公本名阿弥陀シャリホ阿弥陀仏成仏以来お根寺公シャリホ非仏無料無変小門弟子海あらかに非税三十四所の地消防殺衆薬部尿税シャリホ非仏国土上十尿税空毒将軍シャリホ国楽国土修上少者海税やビバチご中他う一生武将ご囚人他非税三十所の知識単価無料無変遊戯公設シャリホ修上門者応答仏願願書非国小医者が特用尿税症状善人空へ医書シャリホ不可医書前後福徳因縁特小医国シャリホ脈善難死善用年門説は弥陀仏修持妙行脈一日脈二日脈三日脈四日脈五日脈六日脈七日一心不乱五年妙十字阿弥陀仏上昇生寺現在世午前聖人十字神父天道即徳往生阿弥陀仏国楽国土シャリホが健税利公設四行脈無症状門税聖者応答仏願消費国土シャリホ名が根者三段阿弥陀仏不可思議空毒逃亡薬阿宿微仏修味創仏大修味仏修味公仏妙恩仏妙税統合が社修小仏各王合国水工上絶相遠風三千大仙世界卒業実言尿と修上等春税賞賛不可思議空毒一切小仏称号人形シャリ法南方世界ウニチガット仏妙門仏 大円見物修味動物無量小人物尿税等合が社修小物各王合国水工上絶相変部三千大先正解出場実言尿等修上等新税小三通過市議空読一切小物小五年行社理法裁法正解無量重物無量相物無量動物大好物大名物放送物上好物尿税等合が社修小物各王合国水工上絶相変部三千大先正解出場実言尿等修上等新税小三風化市議空読一切小物小五年行社理法法法正解有縁見物最小恩物南小物二小物毛明物尿税等合が社修小物各王合国水工上絶相変部三千大先正解出場実言尿等修上等新税小三風化市議空読社理法一切小物小五年行社理法芸法正解有志死物妙門物妙好物脱魔物報道物自法物尿税と合が社修小物各王合国水工上絶相変風三千大先正解卒業実言尿と修上等新税小三風化市議空読一切小物小五年行社理法情報正解雲門の物通応物工場物高校物大円見物座敷法芸合神物シャラ十王物法系特物系権利祭儀物尿臭未戦物尿税等合が社修小物各王合国水工上絶相変風三千大先正解出場実言尿と修上等新税小三風化市議空読一切小物小五年行社理法お尿意運が過去名意一切小物小五年行社理法脈前難視全尿面門税小部小説名有教名社税小前難視全尿年会一切小物優勝五年開徳風大天大和のくたら三脈三宝大税公社理法名と開と真珠画号優勝物小説社理法脈年理発願東発願東発願翌小阿弥陀仏国社税小人と開徳風大天大和のくたら三脈三宝大大非国土脈異小脈根性脈東小税小社理法小前南市全尿年脈信者応答発願小非国土社理法尿が根者小三小物風化市議空読非小物と百小節が風化市議空読二差税言釈迦牟尼仏の異人難空へ主事のシャバ国土合辱惑星公辱権辱門の辱修上辱明辱中徳和のくたら三脈三宝大一生修上節税一切政権南進司法社理法統治がを合辱惑星行使南寺徳和のくたら三脈三宝大一切政権節司南進司法税異人南部節司教義社理法優勝美空一切世間天人な修羅と文部小説寛義真珠空来二項仏説阿弥陀経ナモナブナモナブナ Namandab, 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 namandab. Namo Amidabhus, Namo Amidabhus, Namo Amidabhus, namandabhus, namandabhus, namandabhus. Thank you very much, everyone. And now, if you'll please join me in the Gatha Shinshu Shuka, and you'll find that in the large purple service book on page 216. Thank you very much. And now, if you'll please turn to page 10 and join me in the reading of the Threefold Refuge. Difficult is it to receive a human form, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Dharma of the Buddha, now we hear it. If we do not cross over to the truth in the present life, in what life shall we cross over? Let us with sincerity and true reverence take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together with all sentient beings, awaken to the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together with all sentient beings, enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together with all sentient beings, become units in true accord, in harmony with all things. The peerless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Sankhya-mon, ninjin ukegatashi ima sudeni yuku, buppo kikigatashi ima sudeni kiku. Kono mikonjo ni mukate dose zumba, sarani izure no sho ni mukate ka kono mi wo dosen. Daishu morotomo ni shishin ni sambo ni kieshi tatematsuru beshi. Mizukara butsu ni kieshi tatematsuru, masa ni nega waku wa shujo to tomo ni daido wo taige shite mujo yoko san. Mizukara ho ni kieshi tatematsuru, masa ni nega waku wa shujo to tomo ni fukaku kyozo ni irite chie umi no gotoku naran. Mizukara so ni kieshi tatematsuru, masa ni nega waku wa shujo to tomo ni daishu wo tori shite issai muge naran. Mujo jinjin mimyo no ho wa 100,000万語にもあよことかたし、俺今検問し、従事することを得たり、願わくは未来の真実義を下したてまつらん。何万ダブス、何万ダブス、何万ダブス、何万ダブス、何万ダブス。Thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier, today we're observing our Eitaikyo service. Eitaikyo literally means the perpetual chanting of the sutras. And there are many words that are synonymous with perpetual. It is everlasting, it is continuous, it means into eternity, something without end. So in chanting the words of the Buddha, we are expressing our continuous and everlasting gratitude to the members, and at the same time we praise the virtues of the Buddha. And as we chant the sutras, we acknowledge that our lives exist through the wisdom and the compassion of Amida Buddha. So this is a time for us to be reminded of all the many causes and conditions that allow us to live our lives as we do. In no way are we able to repay the gratitude for all those things and people that we have received and continue to receive in our lives. Since we are on the receiving end of all of these benefits, all we can do is praise Amida, who represents all the myriad of people, all the myriad of events and conditions that give us this life. For us to realize this is to recognize that our life is profoundly within Amida Buddha's power of wisdom and compassion. So today's monthly November Shotsuki Hoyo, and especially our Eitaikyo Muen Hoyo service, is an opportunity for all of us in our homes, wherever we are, to gather together in memory of our past members and express our gratitude to them by listening to the Dharma. And if we can contemplate on the sacrifices that have made over the decades by our past members, we cannot help but to listen with intensity and with sincerity. That is sort of my prelude or introduction to make you listen, hopefully, to today's talk. This Eitaikyo service is part of a tradition that has been going on in this temple for over 70 years. And we have many wonderful traditions. And one of those traditions, among them, is funeral services. We perform funeral services for families, and this is one very important ritual that we hold for them. We try to conduct these services with a deep sense of dignity and with sincerity and respect. And we do them with a consistency in our order and in our procedures so that all are the same. The basic funeral service is always the same. We chant what's called the return to the three treasures, or the Kisamboge. We present the deceased with the Dharma name. We chant the Shoshinge, the hymn of true faith. We burn incense and there's a Dharma message. At the end of that Dharma message, there's the reading of Renyo Shonin's Gobunsho on the white ashes. This can be very comforting because no matter where you go, no matter where you are, if the funeral service is properly performed according to Honganji tradition, all of these things are contained within that service. There is also something nice and comforting in knowing that for centuries we shall share the same funeral services as our loved ones. And this is something that I'd like to talk about today. At all the funeral services, it is presented we read Renyo Shonin's Gobunsho on the white ashes. And you've heard this many, many times. But today I want to take time to read it again because sometimes when we're at a funeral service, we are deep in thought about our loved ones. And sometimes it's difficult to hear the words of Renyo. So today I want you to all listen carefully to the words of Renyo Shonin. In silently contemplating the transient nature of human existence, nothing is more fragile and fleeting in this world than the life of a human being. Thus we have not heard of human life lasting for 1,000 years. Life swiftly passes, and who among us can maintain our form for even 100 years? Whether I go before others, or others go before me, whether it be today or it be tomorrow, who is to know? Those who leave before us are as countless as the drops of dew. Though in the morning we may have radiant health, in the evening we may turn to white ashes. When the winds of impermanence blow, our eyes are closed forever, and when the last breath leaves us, our face loses its color. Though loved ones gather and lament, everything is to no avail. The body is then sent into an open field and vanishes from this world with the smoke of cremation, leaving only the white ashes. There is nothing more real than this truth of life. The fragile nature of human existence underlies both the young and the old. And therefore we must, one and all, turn to the teachings of the Buddha and awaken to the ultimate source of life. By so understanding the meaning of death, we shall come to fully appreciate the meaning of this life, which is unrepeatable, and thus to be treasured above all else. By virtue of true compassion, let us realize the irreplaceable value of human life, and let us together live with the Nembutsu in our hearts. So this is a beautiful letter written by Renyo Shonin some 600 years ago, over 600 years ago. And there's a certain rhythm and cadence to the letter. Now, friends of mine and my family as well say that when you listen to the white ashes, or you listen to it especially in Japanese, there's a deep sense of sorrow that is shared by Renyo with all of us. And I'm sure you've heard this many times, but I hope today you listened with different ears, with new ears. I've read this hundreds of times. I've heard it hundreds of times. But when my father died, the Gobunsho of Renyo Shonin became real. One of my members commented years ago that when he comes to a funeral service, if he doesn't hear the Gobunsho, he doesn't feel like it's been a funeral service. For centuries, this letter has been read at all Honganji funeral services. There's a very famous novel called Kuromi Ame, or Black Rain, by Ibuse Masuji. And he uses Renyo's letter in his novel. The novel takes place in the aftermath of the bombing of Hiroshima. And it tells the story of the struggle of the survivors of the atomic bomb. In one chapter, it talks about a real dilemma that people are struggling with. And these are the survivors. How do they dispose of all of the bodies of their classmates, their co-workers, their family, friends, and their loved ones. The city is in chaos, so busy. Businesses are destroyed. Priests are gone away or killed or busy. But there are bodies that needed to be cremated. But they also wanted to have some sort of service, something to honor their deceased loved ones. So one particular lay person visited with a priest, with friends of his, and they asked the priest, what can we do? Of all the things that the priest did at the services, the only thing that he could do that gave warmth and solace was Denyo's On the White Ashes. So at the cremation of a co-worker, this one particular lay person, he read that letter. Soon he was asked to read it to others. He read it at many services of children, friends, and family. So the words of Denyo Shonin were heard clearly throughout Hiroshima after the devastating bomb and felt deeply by all who came in contact with it. And this is one of the reasons why this On the White Ashes has become so popular. But also something very interesting about this letter. For a long time, we've been told different stories of why and how Denyo came about to write this letter. Recently, we've heard different explanations. In actuality, Denyo did not write the entire letter by himself. Most of the letter was copied from things written by Shinnan's great-grandson, the former retired emperor, and other sources. Considering Denyo's talent, why did he have to copy so much of the contents of this letter? Today we know now that this letter that Denyo supposedly wrote, it was not for someone else, not someone who'd lost a family member in some far off place, but it was written for himself, for Denyo himself. At the time of the writing On the White Ashes, Denyo had just experienced the death of his first child, a young daughter. And he had lost his wife. And as eloquent and as articulate a speaker as Denyo Shonin was, where did he find comfort for himself? So when we listen to the words of Denyo in the Skobunsho On White Ashes, it is not Denyo talking to us. It is Denyo comforting his own heart. It is Denyo saying, I understand your sorrow. I understand your sadness. And that is probably why this letter has reached the hearts of so many people. And for that reason, we share it at our funeral service. And that is why we remember it, because it is deeply embedded in our hearts. So on today's November Shotsuki Hoyo and our Eitai Kyomu and Hoyo service, I want to thank you for listening. Please join me in Gasho. Namman Dabas, Namman Dabas, Namman Dabas, Namman Dabas, Namman Dabas. And now, I want to share with you one more writing of Denyo on the Gabunsho. This is called the chapter on the teaching of Shinnan Shonin. Shonin Nichiryu no go kanke no homuki wa shinji no motte honto surare sodo sono yue wa moro moro no zogyo nagesitete isshin ni midan kimi o sureba fugashigi no ganriki to shite bunno kata yori ojo wa jijo sashimeta mo sono kurai o 一年ポキ入賞上四十とも釈しその上の称名年部と習い我が往生を定めたまいし本法人の念部と心べきなり穴かしこ穴かしこ Shinnan Shonin taught that the essence of Jodo Shinshu is Shinjin. The reason is that by abandoning all other practices and completely entrusting ourselves in Amida Buddha, our spiritual rebirth is assured by Amida through the inconceivable power of the primal vow. This is known as entering the ranks of the truly assured at the very moment of Shinjin. Thereafter, all utterances of the Nembutsu should be understood only as expressions of gratitude for Amida's assurance of our spiritual rebirth. With reverence, I remain. Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas. Thank you. Before we close, I want to make a few announcements. For board members, this Thursday, November 12th at 6 o'clock is our temple board meeting. Next Sunday, November 15th at 10 o'clock, we'll have our regular Sunday service with Bill Wurtenberg. And for those of you who are in high school or college, Saturday, November 14th at 2 o'clock, I'll be hosting a seminar called Why Do We Say Namu Amida Butsu? Again, this is for high school and college age youth. You can contact me to attend. This is a Zoom seminar. And on November 22nd, we'll have our regular Sunday service with Minister's Assistant Nick San Juan. And Sunday, November 29th, there'll be no services, as that is Thanksgiving weekend. Okay? So I'd like to ask you all to join me in the Gatha Ondoku-san on page 220. Thank you. Please join me in Gasho. One's coming back to the house of cyclic birth and death is decisively due to the doubt which binds one to it. One's entering promptly the capital of tranquility and the end condition is necessarily caused by faith which makes one enter there. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening and tuning in today. Thank you, Larry and Hans, for your technical support in today's service. Everyone, please be well, stay healthy, and wear your masks, if not for yourself, for your loved ones. Thank you very much. Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas.